Yeah, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here in the brain of inmendham, blah blah blah, whatever. You know, a brain on Earth. Anyway, so it just occurred to me, the brain just produced a little statement where it says, "Why don't you just do that? No consent argument. Just do that over and over." Because it's such a powerful argument. There's no denying that there's people on Earth who don't agree with the people who are saying, the optimists, that life was worth it, or it was worth doing again, or they'd want to take the chance of arriving on Earth as a consciousness again, or any of that stuff. So clearly they have to concede those psychologies exist, and that they're risking creating, by creating a human being, creating such a psychology, one that won't find it any kind of favor you did them or a gift. They'll say it was a blight and a punishment and a torment, an imposition. You imposed your will and forced somebody into existence that clearly didn't need to exist, and all of that kind of crap, and for whatever wacky reason you had. And the point is, though, is you just don't have any consent to do that. It's gambling with somebody else's money. So just like you're not allowed to steal your neighbor's money, even though you like your neighbors and you want to do them a favor because you're so sure it's a win. So you're going to go to Las Vegas and you're going to win, and you're sure of it. Your confidence doesn't mean much, and you know it. You can't make the argument that I have special knowledge or something, and then you're just a psycho. So it's a risk that you'll lose their money, and you didn't get their consent, and you can't get their consent because they're away on a trip and they don't have their phone. So because you can't get their consent doesn't mean you don't need their consent. So the fact is, it should be rude for you. Incredibly rude. Criminally rude for you to steal their money and invest it in your belief that you're going to win. And likewise, having kids is pretty much the same thing. You don't have to go over to your neighbor's house and steal the money because it's in your eggs already, and your sperms, and you already have the makings. But it's the same ethical question. You're going to press the button essentially that's going to do the deed, and you don't have any consent. Your victims haven't said, yes, I don't mind being a victim for the party. And if they don't consent, you really don't have a right to impose and your belief that it's a good thing. Period. And there's really no way around that argument. It's just plain obnoxious for you to discount the fact that they may not appreciate what you're doing. They might not like the outcome that you think is guaranteed to be a good thing. Anyway, and you don't really have any business thinking you have a guarantee. That's the part that's really obnoxious, is to think that your confidence that you're having a good time means that everybody is going to have a good time. Because you like it, everybody likes it. No, it's not the way it works. So anyway, I should just make that argument over and over, but instead I made some other arguments, a whole bunch of them, frankly, and kind of all over the place. So we'll play the video, and it's whatever, all kinds of stuff I say, and so I have, it's very little continuity. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just a fact, and such. I think that's about right, volume-wise. More scary stuff than attractive stuff. So just making the point that life is what you look at it. I sort of analogize this to looking at a painting from a distance, and fact is, the closer you get, the more you see what you're paying, and the more you see all the flaws, and it's not just a ballet. The ballet's made out of broken hips and things. You were just playing it out and saying how, blah, blah, blah. The real point I'm trying to get to is that, if you kind of understand, that's the basic idea, right? It's not real reincarnation. Oh, okay. So I'm just talking about the future part again, and the fact that people really don't get that. But I mean, it's in your interest to fix the future, because you got here a way that you'll get here again in the future, in the sense that you're just going to wake up and say, I'm alive. That's going to happen. You're going to have this moment in your arrival where you're going to be like, whoa, what the hell is going on? How did I get here? It's going to occur to you that you're this consciousness in this world, and blah, 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 blah. And so it's going to be the same event, basically. And it's just going to happen under really bizarrely different circumstances, in the sense you're going to be raised by completely different kinds of monsters, and completely different kinds of things will be happening to you, and your expectations will be completely different, and attachments will be completely, you'll have a different kind of pet. You're, instead of a cat, you'll have a, a cockroach, on a string, some kind of bullshit. But it's going to be the same bullshit. And so it's to your advantage to make sure that things arrive on Earth and go, I'm conscious, in a good condition, not a bad condition. And frankly, it's, there's nothing you can do about the horrors of nature, so to speak. So that's the one that just makes the whole thing, we really don't want to play this game of waking things up and arriving them on Earth, because they're not going to arrive in a good place, and they're not going to have a good time. I can think back and say how, well, that wouldn't have worked out at all, because, So I was lamenting about, lost loves and all this kind of stuff, and I realized that I was sort of better off with the unfinished story, with the unconsummated love, in a sense, because if it would have turned out differently, it would have been a mess, no doubt. It just would have gotten complicated and sloppy, and it would have been ended tragically, and blah, blah, blah. And so it wouldn't have worked. So I didn't really miss out. I just missed out on a bunch of drama, that wasn't going to make the course of my life any more steady or fruitful. This is the boat we're on, and there's nothing else you can do but... So, yeah, I was sort of using an analogy. It's a boat with 7 billion people on it. It's really tough to navigate. It's a very big boat, and you're not the captain, and this is really tough. But whatever. It's our job to steer it, and so we have to do what we can to, tilt the odds. Probably doesn't. Okay, yeah. Yeah. It just takes more time than that to gain enough life experience, and there aren't enough people. So probably making some comparison about kids being stupid, and just pointing out that it just takes time to have enough life experience to be able to appreciate all the risks and all the dangers and all the crap you're really involved in, how complex your life really is. And it's not just as simple as, what do I want to do today? It's a lot more complicated, because everything you do is going to affect what other people do, blah, blah, blah. Understanding that, well, that's no reason to be an idiot, right? Because I've been lucky doesn't undo the fact that I was also, I guess. So I'm just saying that, the people who say, oh yeah, it's just working out just fine, everything's just fine, a little bit of problems, but really fine. The waves weren't that big, it really wasn't that terrible, I didn't get seasick, blah, blah, blah. It'd be silly for that person to say nobody did, to pretend that this sea doesn't. It's like you come home from the war, and you didn't pay the price because you came home, right? And these other guys paid the big price, and there was a real differential between how much you paid when you went into to go do the warring thing. Some people paid, with everything, their full measure of devotion, and others, kind of had a nice vacation. They didn't like their job anyway. So, I mean, he crashed pretty good. I saw it. And alright, so I was explaining how I saw some examples of, you know, how the culture is just degraded to the point where, yes, people really do have horrible things happen to them, and other people just laugh, and it's really that bad. You know, and it's sort of like sickeningly bad. Your own welfare seriously, and you got to take other people's welfare seriously, and you got to take the future's welfare seriously. Right, so this is the whole, you got to grow up, and, you know, it's more complicated. Again, the game is much more complicated than what's in it for me, and then when you start trying to deal with those complications, you're doomed, because there's just so little deserve has anything to do with it, and there's so little being able to control anything. So that sucks. You know, about something entirely different that's probably more, maybe it's more important than the thing you're thinking about. It seems that way, you know, something like that. And changes the subject, and that's not necessarily good. I mean, it's not, you know. So I was just talking about brains and psychology. And even that, we can't, you know, you can't just tell your brain, don't be a jerk today. Well, you can, okay, but it's very hard to control what your brain does with what you put in. The reflex is fire, so in some sense, you know, especially in making these videos, you can see it. The agenda changes because the brain produces some thought and then starts following that where it goes. And so even though you had sort of a strategy, the strategy gets defeated by the fact that the brain is intrigued by another path to take, and it thinks it's a shortcut maybe, or it just thinks it's interesting, and you know, it makes it difficult to think on purpose. Forms, right? Different. You know, it's not a, you know, what? It ain't all that. Oh, okay, that's it. So it's just basically saying the you know, the cupcake isn't going to be worth what you're going to pay for it, kind of thing. Reckless already creates you know, kind of an extinctionist behavior. So yeah, I'm just pointing out that all this conversation, in a sense, okay, we're accidentally, just because people do become a little bit more mature and cautious if they have a little bit of education, that, you know, all the people that, you know, if the people who have graduated a high school were the only people on Earth, then we'd already be in declining population. Okay, we'd already be in a circumstance where most people had more caution than aggression about maintaining or producing human beings. So we'd already be philosophically oriented in the direction of better safe than sorry, and people wouldn't be having enough kids to maintain human existence. But unfortunately, we don't live in a world where kids are educated, and therefore they make stupid choices, and it's not, choice is the wrong word. They are compelled by unrestrained impulses and poor knowledge to crash their lives into reckless, stupid, moronic behaviors. You know, it's us or them kind of attitude is going to take over. Them is predicting the future, which is always kind of tough in terms of how you know, the human race will be forced to become more intelligent again, because the breeders won't be succeeding anymore, because they won't be breeding in an environment where they can sustain their own people, because they're so disconnected from being productive and real, you know, understanding how the game works, how the evolution game even works, that they won't be able to excrete from the environment enough to maintain their existence. And as long as the social system doesn't save them, they will perish, so to speak. So anyway, so the idiocracy will die because the idiocracy is too stupid to even recognize that there's only so much food on the island, kind of thing. So there'll be some mechanism like that that inevitably will force the future to realize dumb people are buggier than smart people. I mean, they're even more obviously bugs. And bugs suck. Covered in maggots. Yeah, that's... Anyway, so yes, so you can take a snapshot of something, this lions, for example, and the snapshot, though, isn't the reality. And the real story is going to be some sort of tragic end and all of that kind of crap. It's just not a great story. When you put all the images together, it's not going to be a great story. The dead cubs and all that kind of stuff. It's because we can't exercise any complete control. It's always such a tiny part of life that has anything to do with volition and intention, and so much of it is destroyed by the chaos and the noise that we've allowed to dominate existence. The whole book of anything that happens on Earth, put it in the whole story where you really have to put it. Right, and that's the idea, is to try to describe that whole book and be fair to the little precious moments of joy and gratification and accomplishment, in the context of all the grisly, mundane, tedious, monotonous, and torturous crap that you had to pay for that. That kind of thing. And I think that's about it. We can drag a little tiny bit more, but it's probably not going to be anything. No. The end and such.
Right.
That's the beginning and such. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that'll do and such. Yeah, I don't have much to add. I'm kind of a little bit miserable. Bad back and tired eyes. Yeah, okay. And what else? I just complain about things. Anyway, yeah, so far not a great day. But anyway, who knows? Yeah, so I really don't have any great passion to continue attempting to articulate statements that will somehow impress your brain with a sense of foreboding regarding our circumstance and a need to spare us our future torment. Spare us, doing this shit all over again. Anyway, till the next time and such. That'll be it. Yeah, that's enough.